wanna be a billionaire so freaking bad. Buy all of the things I never had. I wanna be on the
Welcome back to the Credit Gal Show on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm your host, Darbe Nokes, and I am speaking to Mark Figearo with SunPower by Green Convergence. And we were speaking about everything about solar today, which is obviously fun and exciting because I'm learning so many things about what I have and maybe what I shouldn't have. But let's talk about, what's driving energy costs? What's driving the energy cost up?
Well, there's so many factors. You look at, they closed the nuclear plant, San Onofre. They're saying conservatively $2.5 billion just to reroute the power lines that were being fed.
Did you say $2.5 billion?
$2.5 billion.
And who pays for that?
Who do you think? The ratepayer.
Wow.
So, that's one thing. The Obama administration just announced the having to clean up these coal-fired plants. A lot of our energy, even in California, believe it or not, comes from outside the state from coal-fired plants. So we're still getting, a lot of our energy from coal. And also the reality of the state of California building a power plant. I know for sure I'm long dead before they build another one because nuclear's off the table.
Yep.
Hydro's off the table.
Yep. Coal's
off the table. So natural gas would be the only thing, and it takes 20 years to go through the whole environmental process approval. So, and the state keeps growing. The demand for energy keeps growing. So there's pressure to get power from clean renewable resources. LADWP is in a situation now where they're divesting themselves of these low-cost energy-producing to get cleaner energy. I mean, we've mandated in the state. We're pushing it on a federal level. So all these kind of things, plus an aging infrastructure.
Yep.
All these things are driving up the cost of energy.
And then it's going to, the typical consumer, how are they going to be able to afford, what is going on here? Just prices continue to go up and continue to go up. I mean, I live in Malibu, California, and I don't know what this means actually. Maybe you know, but I'm on my water bill I'm grandfathered in with some sort of industrial water tank. I'm not kidding. And my water bill, and I have a very large home, square footage wise, and 4 children and lots of baths and a pool. And, my bill is only $350 a month. But I can promise you across the street, my neighbor that has a similar home, their bill is not that. They have a new home. And their water bill is crazy, and their electric bill is crazy, and they don't have solar. So you need to come see my neighbor.
Okay, let's do that.
You need to come see. So now that I understand how and why, how do you pay for the system? How does the process? How do you pay for a solar system?
Again, it's gotten so easy. That was, when we first started doing solar, obviously the prices were much higher. Prices have dropped dramatically, but there really weren't good financing vehicles in place.
Right.
And as the lending institutions have gotten educated, like everybody else, they're saying, hey, this is a good, safe bet. People are not going to not pay their lease or loan payment because they want their power on. I mean, people pay their power bills. There's other bills that let go, but you got to keep the electricity on. So,
you got to keep the electricity
you're leasing your system, you're purchasing your system, you're going to pay that bill. And the lenders are realizing that. So we've got a lot more attractive financing options. Again, as contractors, we're not in the lending business, so we don't have any what is this? Something in the hunt. I forget that expression.
Right.
And
you're not the solar fairy that you can just go beepity boppity boo. Now you have a solar system.
But what I'm driving at is there are companies out there, especially investor-backed companies, that are pushing what they call power purchase agreements, PPAs, and leases. Because investors do one thing, they build a company and they sell it. And that's just what investors do. And so if they sell a system, they have nothing on their books. They don't have any what we call revenue stream. So when people are talking to certain companies that are pushing them really hard to do a lease or a PPA, and they're just pushing all the advantages, which there are advantages to, and for some people it's a good choice.
Right.
But and there are other companies that won't touch the lease and they push finance. What we do is say it really doesn't matter to us,
right?
Because we're going to make the same we're looking at what's best for our clients. Some people, it's much better to purchase. They need the tax write-off. Other people don't have tax liability. A lease is much better. So we're going to show you a lease, what we call a prepaid lease, cash, finance, and find out what works best for you.
Yeah, I mean, what a concept. What works best for you? So you're looking at their whole picture, you know, their usage and where they're at and how long they've possibly lived in their home and how, do they think they're going to continue to live in their home, and all of those very simple and small little things that make the biggest difference to your purchase. So when you're talking about, you know, purchasing, leasing, what are the pros and cons of leasing? Let's start on that.
Leasing, if you, like I said, if you have no what we call tax liability, you're not you're in a situation whether you know, we run a lot of people that have had some downturns in the economy that could cause them some losses that we call carryover losses they're not going to use, and so getting that 30% tax credit is not going to benefit them. Perfect client for a lease or maybe a prepaid lease where you just make one payment up front, and so you don't have any monthly payments. So in that situation, a lease looks, you know, really good. But in the opposite situation where somebody has a lot of tax liability, especially if they pay what they call the alternative minimum tax, now the 30% tax credit you can deduct against that alternative minimum tax, which there's very few things that you can deduct. So for our clients that are paying the AMT, and they know who they are.
You know who you are.
They're all over the purchase.
Well, I love that. So the SunPower loans, you know, we're about to go to break in a second. We'll talk about, you know, the credit score and the solar and tax credits and all of that. But in the loan process, credit does make a difference, right?
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, credit really makes a difference in everything we do.
Anytime you want, if you want to buy a car, you want to buy a house,
and you want to buy a solar,
credit.
And you want to buy a solar system, it's the same thing. And, you know, obviously having a higher credit score, you're probably going to be able to get financing. And there's probably, and we can come back after the break, and we can talk about how maybe you can't get a solar system at all. Maybe there's a certain score and certain things that are on your credit report that we can't get that at all. So we'll be right back. You're listening to The Credit Gal on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.